welcome to Reality Tea Times 2, the podcast where we discuss all the trash reality TV we love to hate. I am Tanika, and today we are jumping into a brand new season of Happily Ever After, ? So, we actually we're able to talk about everybody in this episode. So, but before we do, I don't have any hot goss to discuss in this episode. I'll have some hot goss for you for a future episode, but I don't have anything for this one. But what I do have is some informational memes that was provided to us by good old 90 Day Fiancé. So, the first one. For Kobe and Emily's first Valentine's Day together after being married, she got him a cookie cake that said, quote, "Do you want to fuck tonight?" And then her parents discovered it on the counter when they ended up falling asleep early. Y'all. I mean, So, the next one is also Emily and Kobe related. Emily takes on all of the household duties and preparations. Kobe hasn't even made a bed since he arrived in America. Spoiled. He's spoiled. What the hell? Anyways, that is it for the memes that I have for this episode from 90 Day Fiancé that I wanted to talk about. It was a perfect segue into Happily Ever After Season 8, Episode 1, Once Upon a Rocky Relationship. And the first people we're going to be talking about is Emily and Kobe. So we see Emily shaving her legs and getting all cute. And then we see Kobe coming in saying, "I'm home." And we hear Emily saying, "I got a surprise for you." And then he walks into the bedroom and she says, "Bon appetit, papi." Okay. And she's like, "Let's have a quickie." And, they're getting all, hot and heavy. And maybe, you can slip it in for, a minute or two or whatever the hell else, however long he lasts for his quickie or whatever. And then we just hear Emily's mom say, "Dinner is ready." So they're not going to be having a quickie. Emily literally tells him, "Put your boner away." And he's going to need to put his boner away because from what we've seen, he can't really hide that. So, her mom, as they get upstairs, get the kids situated and all that, asks them, "So what have you guys been up to?" Nothing. Nothing's up. Nothing. No. So then we kind of hear them kind of talk about 25-hour travel. What are you talking about? Where are we going? Y'all, when I tell you I was excited, we're going to Cameroon, baby. Yes. Finally. So yes, we're going to Cameroon and we're going to be meeting his family. The flight, however, is 23 hours long. Good luck. Jesus Christ. Emily kind of says, stress levels seem to be at a 1. And so not only is Emily, Kobe, the kids going, but her parents are also going to be going to meet Kobe's family. But Kobe also mentions in this moment too that, listen, there's not a lot you need to know. It's a beautiful place. It's going to be great. It's going to be fun. You're meeting my family. It's going to be great. But however, we can't do anything hugely important on a Monday because there could be problems. So even if someone opens up their shop on a Monday, it could potentially be burned down. So in the moment, he kind of goes into a little more detail saying that Cameroon is separated by 2 different regions. You have the English-speaking region and then you have the French-speaking region. So basically, the French-speaking region seems to be a little bit more dominant than the English-speaking region. So what's basically happening here is that the English-speaking region is trying to, they have said Monday is a day of which they will be punishing the ruling government. So basically, Cameroon is currently in a civil war. That is what's going on. But he says it will be safe. He wouldn't be going if it weren't safe. But he does also tell Emily, with his parents, you just got to be yourself. Just maybe a little less American. But just be yourself. Maybe be a little less yourself. Because he says, just be chill. Just be chill. That's all he kind of wants from her. Just be chill because she's bossy. And obviously the biggest thing here is that it's not usually typical for an African man to be with someone who might be a little more bossy, seeing as most African women, I guess they're trying to say, typically an African woman is submissive to their husband. I don't know her because I am also a woman who's with an African man. And yes, it is true that in most situations that is how it is, but you do find men like a Kobe or men like my man who doesn't necessarily need to have their wife be submissive to them. Yes, they kind of want to lead to a certain extent, but also are perfectly okay with their women leading them into the right direction as well. So it just depends on who you're getting. And Kobe definitely kind of he's very similar actually to my boyfriend. He's very similar in his attitude and how he is. So yeah, so I know he's probably okay with it, but obviously when you're taking that person to your family where typically the wife is meant to be more submissive, he is a little bit worried about that. And he also kind of asked the fact that it's not usually common for an African man to branch away from home and marry an American woman. What I think he's also not saying is that it's unusual for an African man from Cameroon to leave home and marry a white American woman. So I don't think he's saying that the quiet part out loud, but I know that's probably part of it as well. I mean, who gives a shit? But clearly that's part of it as well. So he just kind of says, she can be bossy, and that's just not usually how it is. And we've seen her be bossy. So then we later see her packing, and they're going to be leaving for Cameroon the next day. And then it is the next day. And we see a shit ton of luggage, like a shit ton of luggage. My God. But they have, basically how this is going to go, like I said, they have 23-hour travel here. There's going to be 3 hours to Kansas City because they're in bumfuck nowhere. So they've got 3 hours to Kansas City. We have 1 hour flight to Detroit. From Detroit, we have a 9-hour flight to Paris. And then from Paris, we have a 6-hour flight to Cameroon. Good fucking luck. So we do see them get to the airport, and I'm telling you, Scarlett is already having a fit. She's done already, and we haven't even started. We haven't really truly started. We just took the 3-hour drive to the fucking airport. We haven't even started. She's already losing it. So I wish them all the best of luck, and hopefully these kids don't fucking lose their shit. But that's it for Kobe and Emily. Let's jump in with Sophie and Rob. So we didn't have a lot of time to miss them, but here we are. Sophie, we kind of hear her talking, saying, we see bras and like shit on the floor, and saying we probably drank too much last night. We see Sophie in bed, or just like, what's happening? But then she says, I'm really happy you let me move in with you after everything that happened with Rob. And then we see a girl, and her name is Kay. Who the fuck is this? And are they or aren't they? I'm sorry, don't act like y'all didn't wonder, because it's not so much about Sophie, it's Kay. Something's up with Kay, and we'll get to that. But apparently she moved in with Kay due to some issues with Rob. We don't know exactly yet, but we are going to find out. And the one thing that I noticed in this whole situation with the room is the photos of both Sophie and Kay. It's a little weird, y'all. It's a little weird. But Kay says, you know what? My home is your home. We're going to get into more as to how creepy all of this kind of is. But before we do, we're going to go back and forth now. And we're with Rob, and he is at a batting cage with his friend. He mentions that when they moved to Austin, they added to their family, and he bought 6 tarantulas. I don't give a shit what happened. The minute my man decides that he's gonna buy not 1 but 6 fucking tarantulas, I'm divorcing you. I'm divorcing you. It's done. No, I'm divorcing you. You can keep the spiders. I'm divorcing you. Oh my god, no. But I did have to write down here, Rob's friend is hot. He's cute. But anyways, he says, the friend says, it doesn't sound like you guys are like married. And we also find out here that they haven't seen each other at all. There's been clearly no communication between them, nor have seen each other for 2 months. I'm sorry, I can barely go a week without seeing my boyfriend, who I love and can't get enough of. 2 months? My God. So then we're back with Sophie, and she mentions that she saw some text messages from a woman after they had moved to Austin. So when she went into his social media and saw that the extent of his quote unquote online cheating wasn't quite what he said it was a hell of a lot worse. And we'll get maybe a little bit more context with that, but somewhat. But that's what she's saying. Then we're back with Rob, and he's kind of saying, now she's living with this friend Kay. He clearly doesn't like Kay. Kay says he also says Kay doesn't like him. So he says about Kay that she does not respect him. She doesn't respect the marriage. And she does kind of like get in Sophie's ear and kind of like fucking with that. But he also says that he wonders if Kay and Sophie are having a sexual relationship. And with that, the friends, so, oh no, we'll go back, when we go back to Sophie first, because I did write it down. I thought I forgot it, but we'll go back to that. So Kay, we're back with Sophie and Kay now, and Kay is like, I mean, fuck, I'm taking better care of you than he is, literally. And I said, holy shit. For someone to say that I'm taking better care of you than he is anyways, that's a statement. That's a statement. So then we're back with Rob and his friend is shooketh because he's like, wait a minute, Sophie's bi? He didn't know that. When he asked the question, is she a lesbian? He was referring to Kay. He was not expecting Rob to say, oh, wait, she's the one that's bi. Okay. And that's like, when did you find this out? And obviously he says when we found this out, which we all know. And he says, oh, no, dude, she's fucking that girl. He's like, no, she's fucking her. She's fucking her. There's no way in hell. They're fucking. Rob says, well, she isn't fucking me. But at the same time, he does say, but that doesn't necessarily mean that she's fucking Kay either or fucking anybody else. It just means that she ain't fucking me. So, yeah. But he's also afraid to ask her if there is anything going on that front because A, he doesn't have a fucking leg to stand on to ask that question, and B, he does know that it's probably going to erupt in an issue between both Rob and Sophie because it is going to feel like he's judging her or accusing her of sleeping with a woman when she's supposed to be a married woman, so it's clearly going to cause some problems. But enough of that. Let's move on to the next scene, and we've got Claire. Claire's here. Claire now has a new boyfriend who lives in Texas, even though she lives in Mexico, but So she has a new boyfriend. His name is John. He seems nice, whatever. They're going to go play some bocce ball, and that's kind of that. And Claire just kind of goes in and says, that John, Rob's nickname, you know what I call him, right? And he's like, what do you call him? She's like, Knob. And she's like, do you know what a knob is? And he's like, like a doorknob or something, or what? She's like, no, it's a willy. And Sophie's like, I don't even think he knows what that means. She's like, his dick. He's a dick. So now she's still telling everybody that he's a knob and whatever. And apparently we're finding out because she kind of, with Claire kind of going in on Rob with John, is kind of saying like when she got to the States, he would leave her alone to kind of be alone, fending for herself in this really shitty apartment and a place where you may or may not be hearing gunshots or whatever. So it's not great. We didn't know that, but anyway, that's what he apparently would do that all the time. I don't know. We don't have any context with that. And Claire does say that she actually did like Rob initially, but then he kind of did the switch up and now she doesn't like him anymore. So, and Claire takes this opportunity to tell Sophie, you know, like, your man is horrible. Then Sophie decides to take this opportunity to tell her mom that, you know what, I might be considering moving back home with Rob. And Claire's like, why? Don't go back. He's not good for you. Don't go back. Why would you go back? That's horrible. It's a bad idea. Don't go back. Claire, this is her marriage. This is her husband. This is her life. If she wants to go back, she's going to go back. There's nothing you can say or anyone can say about whether or not she goes back. So you know. And Sophie says that, you know, our marriage is in a weird place right now. But I do want to meet up and talk to him. And Claire says, I don't think they should meet up. They're still in this anger state and they're not ready for that. Well, the only way to get rid of that state and to work through those things is to meet up with each other and actually work through those things. They're never going to fix anything if they don't. So her mom telling her not to go to see him is really counterproductive. So, and Sophie says that she didn't always have like a stable upbringing in her life. And she said her dad wasn't around, which we knew. What we didn't fully know, well, at least I don't remember. Maybe this was brought up before. I just don't remember. She says that her mom also struggled with substance abuse. And you're just like, I get it now. But anyways, there was a lot of Sophie taking care of Claire, then Claire taking care of Sophie. And I think she feels like she's still doing it. And now we're with Rob going to be meeting up with Sophie. They're going to be going to a selfie gallery because she's always wanted to go to one. He says this feels like a video game where he, you start off with all your hearts, you start off with all your health, and now he's down to one heart, and, he's only got the one heart left, and this is his last chance. That's an interesting analogy, but anyways. We see Sophie is already at the selfie gallery waiting for him. And he just hopes that they can get through this and she will come back home. Sophie and her in the moment when talking about kind of the state of their relationship starts crying. Like she can't even get the words out. And she literally says like, I need a minute. Like she can't get it out and something happened on the way to heaven. Anyway. The way this girl lit up the minute he entered that gallery, this girl she's clearly very much in love with him. Like, there's no doubt about it. She's in love with this man. I don't personally get it, but she just there's no denying the love she has for him. Like, she lit up. And with him, he says, oh, you got the girls out. She's like, yeah. Because if we've all done it, I damn well have too. Like, let's not pretend. I've done it with many men in my life. If you are trying to get a point across, whether that be I'm trying to make sure you know what you're missing out on, or I need to make sure you realize I want you in that way, I'm going to put the girls out, put them right there in your face, because that is what you're going to focus on. You're going to focus on my face, my eyes, but you're also going to focus on my girls. because chances are you're going to have your hands on my girls. Preferably without the clothes. I'm just saying. So I see you, Sophie. Gee, that's what all women do. Since we've been doing for centuries. So, then we start kind of talking about the fact that after they do the pictures and stuff like that, he tells her, do you know what I have at home? And she's like, what? Well, your wedding ring. And she's like, oh my God, I knew you had it. I thought I lost it. I didn't want to tell you that I didn't have it because I knew you probably had it. And she's like, well, where's your ring? And he says, well, I don't have it on. And she's like, oh, so everyone here in Austin thinks you're single then. Like, what the hell? And she's like getting all up in her feelings because he doesn't have his ring on. And he's like, I just don't want to look stupid because I don't feel like we're married, even though, yeah, we are married, but like, you didn't have, but the whole thing about this is that she's getting her back up because he doesn't have his ring on, yet she doesn't have her ring on because she thought she'd lost it. And lo and behold, he's had it the whole time. So don't come here acting like you're holier than thou self, thinking he's out here not wearing his ring because now he thinks that he's single and shit, when you clearly, well, we don't know yet because he said, you know why I have it? We don't know why, because she didn't allow him the opportunity to say why. But I have two options. Either one, she took the ring off and left it at home, or number two, she took the ring off and threw it at his face. Those are the only options, and that's why he has the ring. So, yeah. But we just don't know that because she didn't get an opportunity to talk. Then we kind of just start talking about the fact that she did a factory reset on his phone. And when I guess the reason she did that is because of the things that she'd found with the messages with other women. And she's like, there's 50 bitches in your phone and all of this. And he's like, it wasn't like a big thing. I wasn't physically involved with any of these women. Yes, I was talking to them and that's wrong and whatever. And he is trying to do accountability as much as he can for Rob, but she's not kind of letting it go. And he's like, I already apologized for all of this. So what, I had to apologize again? And she's like, well, I haven't seen you in 2 months. So yeah. No, if he's like already done it and he's already done it, like I do understand her wanting him to still hold the accountability. I definitely understand doing that. But if he's already apologized to you, then you can't get all pissy and walk away from him because he's not giving you what you think you should get from him when he already did that. Like, that's bullshit. We're doing it. The edit. We're now going to start feeling bad for fucking Rob. I'm not fully there yet, don't get me wrong, but I see where we're headed. Anyway. But yeah, that's basically what happens. She gets up and she walks away and says that, she's not gonna sit around and allow him to basically not hold himself accountable. So, yeah. But that's basically it for Rob and Sophie. Let's go over to Nicole and Mahmoud. So this is pretty quick, but we're seeing Nicole again. She's 40 now. She looks good. Sorry, she does. But she's shopping for PJs for Mahmoud because he doesn't actually have PJs. She says that he basically will go to bed in like a sweater and jeans, and it's uncomfortable for her because it's all scratchy and shit. So she's getting him some pajamas. She hasn't seen him in 5 months. So this is like literally maybe like the same month that we had the tell-all, because I vaguely remember her saying at the tell-all that they hadn't seen each other for like 4 or 5 months. So this is roughly right around then, and that, like, the last time they were on was The Other Way, right? The first quote-unquote season of The Other Way that we had last year. So that was like over a year ago, or almost a year ago. Or about a year ago, maybe. I don't even remember now, but like, it's been a while. And we're now just getting this footage. So ridiculous. Anyway. And yeah, so, and he will be landing in the States the next day. So now we are in Egypt with Mahmoud. We're 3 hours away from his flight. And we see that he's packing. He says he's excited to get to the States to be with Nicole, but he's also nervous. He worries about the fact that he's not going to know anybody there. Is he going to find friends that are Muslim? Is he going to find a mosque? I think he'll be fine. I think he'll find a mosque. She lives in Los Angeles, right? I'm sure they can find a mosque fairly easy enough in LA, and I think he'll be okay. But I definitely understand the fear because he doesn't know. He doesn't know anything. He doesn't know how it's going to be and what is considered, not a Muslim country. So I get it. Then he goes over to his mom, and his mom's name is Zaneb, if you remember her. And she says she's going to miss him. And as we kind of remember here, Mahmoud is the only person who lives in the apartment with her. But if we also remember, her other son and his wife and their kids are just like the floor above or something. So she's not going to be fully alone, but she will be alone in the apartment because, he's the only person that lives with her. And she tells him, don't forget to perform your prayers. And he tells her that he's going to miss her. And she just starts crying. My heart. And we do see his brother helping him get his bag in the car, and he is off. That is that. In the next scene, we see her making the welcome sign that we have seen already before this season even aired. What I thought it was amazing in this moment, like actually watching it with my mom, was like, she's doing what you would do, because my mom is artistic. She did graphic design when I was younger. And my mom is the kind of person that would literally use the ruler in the sign because it's just that perfection, I think, and that artistic thing. Whereas me, who is not artistic, would just not even do that. But I'm like, oh yeah, she's doing what you would probably do. And my mom's like, what's the problem? Because normal people wouldn't do that. Anyway, she's wearing a dress that shows some leg, shows some stomach. And she's like, I think this is a happy compromise, because obviously he'd rather she wear that bathing suit that we saw her in, if you remember the bathing suit. But yeah, like she's saying, this is a happy compromise, so this should be fine, right? We'll see. And then we're at the airport waiting for Mahmoud to show up. And we see him. And we see her going towards him. But that is all we're going to get for this week with them. So that was pretty quick. Not much there. But yeah, we're going to take a break here. And when we come back, we will jump in with the rest of the show. Have you ever wanted to guest on a podcast like this one that you're listening to right now? Well, you can. You can definitely do this by visiting a website called Podmatch, where you can sign up and be available for all different types of podcasts that you can guest on. Or you can even search for a podcast and say, I want to guest on your podcast. I think we'd be a good match. So if you want to do this, you can go to our unique link, which is joinpodmatch.com/reality, and you can sign up and do exactly that. And you can find us and you can guest on our podcast. So again, that unique link is www.joinpodmatch.com. That's joinpodmatch.com/reality, REALITEA, and you can be a guest on our podcast. And I am back. So let's hop into Ashley and Manuel. So not a lot here really, but we hear Manuel kind of seems to be, a little tired And he's like, this woman is trying to kill me. Oh my God. I need an ambulance. And then we hear Ashley kind of being like, keep it going. Come on. Yes, you can. And y'all, we are in a spin class. So we're not nothing else. We're in a spin class. And Manuel is like, I don't know how they do this. And um we find out that they have been married now for 1 whole year. She says that her main job is to be a witch, tarot readings and all of that, but she is also a spin instructor, so there is that too. But um she says that Manuel is like a book. She has to open up that book and ask what every page means in the book. So this is basically trying to tell us that nothing has changed and he is still not opening up to her about everything. So we're meeting up with her mom, Sienna, and Sam, her sister's husband. Manuel gets stressed being with her family because the fact that they're speaking English, he doesn't understand them. Ashley says, well, the way to fix that is for you to learn English and then you'll understand. But the thing is that she makes it very easy for him because she speaks his language. So, you know. Anyways, mom says, no, I don't want to go down no bounce castle or bounce house or whatever. Because Sienna says, you want to go to the bounce house? Well, grown ass woman usually going to the bounce house. Anyways, mom says that, we need to meet his kids. What were y'all doing? The fuck you doing when you were going down there to Ecuador? How were you not meeting his kids? Which is a fair question. It's actually a really good question. And on top of the fact that they haven't met, Ashley's still not really talking to his kids very much because either he, is secretive about it or he goes off and talks to them on his own. Like there's no communication between Ashley and the kids. But mom says, what if there are things we don't know? Should I get a PI? You know what? If you are going to go the PI route, Karen, Miss Karen, if you're nasty, can definitely help you. Because she's hired a few PIs. Lord. Just like, what if there are more than 2 kids? What if he has more kids? We don't know. But I think we have agreed that it's a little much to go straight to from 0 to PI, So Ashley asked, to Manuel, do you intend for me to meet your kids or what? And he says, yes, he does. He just says, I didn't want to confuse them. There was so much going on with the visa all at once, so he didn't want to confuse them or anything like that. Plus, he says there's just a lot going on in Ecuador right now, so he just doesn't want to kind of do that now, I guess. I don't know. And Ashley says that if he doesn't start opening up to her, the relationship is not going to succeed. So, but you knew this before you married him, Ashley. You can't go from, let's have sex to work out our issues to, we need to communicate more. I agree, y'all need to communicate more. I've been screaming at it already for how long now? Feels like forever. But it's just come. But I guess we'll see how that goes. But it's basically it for Ashley Manuel. We did not get enough of them this episode. And we got way too much Sophie and Rob. But nonetheless, we still have one more. And this is going to be a little fun. We got Jasmine and Gino. So we see her kind of applying some sunscreen on herself and she kind of looks Gino up and down and she's like, you're so sexy with that captain hat. Okay. And we are on a boat. And you know what? Jasmine hates this boat. She says it's too small. she kind of pictured for her honeymoon that they would be on a huge judge. Oh, really? Wait, what? A judge? What's a judge? And he's like, a what? She's like, a judge, a big judge. And you're not understanding my English now? Ma'am, listen, I have not struggled to understand Jasmine's English until this very moment. And we have been seeing Jasmine and Gino now. This is the 4th season. And all of a sudden now I can't understand you. Judge. Y'all, she meant yacht. She meant the big yacht. Anyway, the boat is too small, she says. So they're kind of saying, they've newly married and this is their honeymoon, blah, blah, blah. And we have that line that we've been seeing now for how long, where Jasmine says, nothing but death can separate us. And that is why you should never have signed a will or do a new will, because damn it, Gina, she's going to kill you. Anyway, they are going to make things work. They're doing good. She says, I have an idea. She's like, let's make a baby right here on this boat in front of the cameras. So she is ovulating. So because she's ovulating, she wants to make a baby right here, right now. And he's like, well, that's a little risky. People might see us. You mean a whole crew of people who are filming this and could potentially, I mean, that would never happen, obviously, but what? But she says she's ovulating. And she says, what's the problem? We can just lie down here. No one's going to see us. But she says, because I'm ovulating, we need to make this happen like today. And he's like, well, maybe we can have like something happen in the tent or the campgrounds or whatever, because they're going to go camping. We'll get to that in a minute, but she's like, okay, fine. They kind of say, that's because though we are trying to make a baby, there are still kids that she has. She's package deal, and she's like, she wants to have her kids here. That's important to her. She wants to make sure that gets done. And she does say to us in the moment that if her kids are not able to get to America, it doesn't matter how great this country is. It doesn't matter about her marriage. She is a mother first, and she will go back to Panama. And you know what? I believe her. So, I think she also tells him to go get a job because like he's not working. Yeah, I think it's time. You said you did this to help her transition from Panama to the States before the wedding. You're all now married now. It's time to go get it back. Go get your job. Let's get it on. Anyways, so now we're headed to the campground. And she says, oh God, this campground, it feels like a horror movie. It feels like probably Jason's going to come out here and kill me. Or his mom, whatever. And she says, we should have stayed in our backyard. What's the difference? I agree with her. Camping isn't my thing. Anyway, he says, oh, camping is romantic or whatever. Camping, I guess, is not romantic. And yeah. And we walk into the place where you would register, ? I don't camp. I've never camped a day in my life, so I don't know how this works. I'm black, and I know black people camp, but not this black girl. So yeah, I guess this is where you would register, ? So they walk into this place, and Jasmine is like, oh yeah, we're on our honeymoon. And the woman's like, oh, well, that's the first. The way that Jasmine looked at Gino when she said this is like, you fucking liar. Because like, this man literally said to her, oh yeah, camping is romantic. People do it all the time for their honeymoon. When that is not at all what they do for their honeymoon, but because he's broke, this is all he could afford. We're now registered. We're good to go. We have this guy who's waiting for them to show them around the campgrounds. And the first thing that this guy shows them is the showers. So, we look at these showers, these perfectly, I feel like Friday the 13th was actually filmed here because, we see the showers and it's horrific. And Gino says, "Oh, that's nice." And I'm like, who the fuck you lying to? Who the fuck you lying to? Really and truly, sir, who the fuck you lying to? I think you need to take your hat off because I think it's too tight. What the fuck? Who? Jasmine says, "I think the fuck not." Okay, I think the fuck not. And she literally, as the guy's walking away, pulls Gino aside for a second and says, "I got 3 vaginal infections just looking at the fucking shower." Yeah. What's who that? Of course, he would think it's fine though, because he's a man and men just don't even. So then now they're headed to, I guess, towards where their camping spot, and the lake is there. Now, the lake is fine. It's perfectly fine. But obviously it looks to her maybe not like the waters you would see in Panama. And she says, "I'm not getting in there. I'm not getting in there." Now I was thinking she was kind of thinking like a Paul type situation where he was concerned that something might swim into his pee pee hole. So, and I was thinking maybe she thinks something's going to swim up her for JJ. Who knows? But no, she's actually not concerned about something swimming up her for JJ. She's more concerned about what did she say? She said crocodile, but how she said it, it was like, I can't even begin to remember what she actually said. But it was not at all crocodile. It didn't sound like, but you could catch on. That's what she was saying. She's basically saying that she's seen this movie with a crocodile, I guess, that kills everybody. I wonder if she's confused with Anaconda, because I've never seen a crocodile movie. I mean, I'm sure they maybe exist, but I've never seen a crocodile movie. It's either Jaws or something to do with sharks, or it's like a huge ass anaconda that's killing people. That's what I've seen. So I'm wondering if that's what she meant, if it was anaconda. But nonetheless, there is no crocodiles in fucking Michigan. Crocodiles are probably more in Florida, the bayou, places like that. They're not in fucking Canton, Michigan. And this is a lake, anyways. Usually, I think they kind of go towards like swampy areas. There's no crocodiles in this lake. But who knows? She might not still go in there. But what you do need to worry about, Jasmine, is coyotes. And the fact that you've brought Coco here with you to potentially be eaten by coyotes. Anyways. And don't pretend like y'all didn't think about it, okay? Don't be out here trying to be like, oh my God, like, you're talking about a coyote eating a dog. And I'm like, y'all didn't think about that? Because I sure as hell did. She should have left that dog at home. Asked someone to look at her dog. Asked Dana or Michelle to check on the dog. Lord. Anyway, we then see him putting up the tent, and he's kind of struggling to put the tent up. And we kind of see her kind of getting in there and like helping him with the tent and whatever. So now it's nighttime and we're roasting some marshmallows. She's never had roasted marshmallows before. I love a roasted marshmallow, but because she's never done this before, she sticks the marshmallow like right into the fire, like right into the embers. And he's like, "Don't put it so close to the fire because then you're just going to get like ash on the marshmallow." But anyways, she roasts her marshmallow. It's pretty black, but nonetheless, she roasts her marshmallow. And when she eats it, she's like, hmm. And she's like staring at this marshmallow like she's in love with this marshmallow now. And she's like, "This tastes good." She's like, kind of like corn. Like how she's eating it. It's kind of like, she's kind of eating it like it's corn on the cob. But she's like, "It's kind of like corn." And I was like, I've never heard anyone describe eating roasted marshmallows like eating corn. But now, we're going to kill the vibes, kill a nice quiet time, and talk about the fact that she wants to be in a bigger home. So she says, like, yeah, I want to be in a bigger house. We're trying to get pregnant. We have her kids that are going to be potentially coming hopefully soon. She wants to have a bigger house. She says the house that they're currently in, number one, it was someone else's home. They've decorated this home. She does not like the home. And also she wants something that's bigger because she says the house is not big enough. But of course, Gino has to rain on her parade and say that we don't need a bigger house. This house is fine. He's like, if you're actually pregnant, that's one thing, then fine, I would get you the bigger house, but you're not pregnant yet. And the biggest thing being he just doesn't have the money because obviously he's not working. But she says, like, and I agree with her on this, I don't want to wait till I'm pregnant. I don't want to wait till the last minute to get a bigger home because, you're too cheap, and I definitely understand that. Like, I mean, I think y'all need to talk about it, figure out what exactly bigger means to her. Like, how many rooms are here? Is it 2 bedrooms? What is it here? Or do you want 3? Do you want 4? Like, what is that looking like? And you can kind of figure that out. I don't know what home prices are in Canton, Michigan, but I'm sure y'all can figure this out. Yeah, this is where she says to him to get a job because it's about fucking time. Then she kind of mentions in the moment that the one thing that she hasn't told Gino yet is that she struggles to get pregnant with, her sons. And she says the reason that she hasn't told him, that she does acknowledge that that's kind of horrible of her, she should have told him. But she also says the reason she didn't tell him is because she's afraid that it could end things between them because that is the reason that his previous marriage didn't work. She literally says that, I guess maybe his ex-wife wasn't able to get pregnant, or they weren't able to have kids, or maybe they didn't want to have kids. I don't know. I think we need a little more context with this. Is it that he was just being a complete dick and said, well, you can't give me kids, so I'm going to leave you? Or is it that maybe she didn't want to have kids and that was a deal breaker for him? Like, we need a little more context here. But she says that she worries that, because of that could potentially end her relationship with Gino if she isn't able to get pregnant. So I guess that's what we're going to be looking forward to with their season. But that is it for Jasmine and Gino. And that is it for the very first episode of Happily Ever After. So this season on, we are in Cameroon, baby. We're there and we're going to see how that goes. Jasmine is, I guess, going to try to be a pageant queen or something. I'm so confused, but that's what she's going to do. And, well, I guess also kids are not going to be showing up because apparently, number one, he did not include his children, or her children, sorry, on the application forms. That's the first thing. I'm going to have a little thoughts about this. The second thing also being he doesn't have 5K, y'all, so how is he going to afford a lawyer, I guess? So the first thing I want to mention here about the fact that he didn't put her, like, include, well, between the both of them, really and truly, didn't include her children on the application forms. Now, I don't know what USCIS does. I think that's the right acronym, right? Immigration. I'm not sure what this American immigration does in terms of this, but I know here in Canada, because I had to do this with my ex, and when we had to apply for, we don't have a K1 visa, but we have like a similar idea with spousal visa. Well, it is a spousal visa. We had to do the same thing, and I know for a fucking fact, it's literally written in like on the application, that you have to claim your children on the form. So you have to acknowledge them on the forms. And if you're confused by this, because in my case, it was the confusion because yes, he had a child that wasn't mine. He had a baby that wasn't mine. But at the same time, he wasn't on her birth certificate at that particular point in time initially. So the biggest thing was, well, what do I do? Because legally speaking, you don't got kids. Ethically speaking, you do, obviously. But I called up immigration and I said, what do I do? And they literally say, even if you don't think, like if legally speaking, you're not on a child's birth certificate, but you believe in your heart of hearts that you have a biological child, you still need to include them on the application form. So my question is, why wasn't her kids, who are clearly biologically hers, put on these forms? Because that's going to make getting them to the States that much harder. And it's going to delay the family unification process, because that is what all immigration always spews, is family unification. So what the fuck was he thinking? But also, not to mention, why didn't she say something? But here's the thing is that I remember actually talking this out in their previous season. They literally got into a little bit of an argument because he refused to do this with a lawyer. He insisted, because he had done this before with his ex-wife, that he could do this, and didn't have a lawyer. He wasn't consulting with a lawyer to do this application process. But now he could have potentially screwed her. And this was her biggest concern, is that he might screw up the process when it came to her kids. And here we are. So there's that. And then Ashley wants to do a post-nup, and they kind of say to the lawyer, and luckily there's a translator there, but they say to the lawyer, says to both of them, so you're entitled to half of his income. Same would go the other way, honestly, but he didn't say that, but I'm gonna say that. Not to mention, you're also allowed to have him try to, pay half of your debt, and vice versa. But here we find out that Ashley has $100K in debt. And when he hears this, he has a fucking aneurysm, because he says, the fuck? He's like, I'm not paying that. I'm not paying that. And here's the thing though. This is why maybe you should have done a prenup, because it could have protected both of them, I guess. This is when you do it. Not just when you have assets, but also when you have expenses. But he doesn't have to sign a post-nup. He doesn't have to sign a post-nup whatsoever. He doesn't have to sign a prenup either. But you're already married. And he does not, just like with the prenup, there's nothing saying he has to sign a post-nup. But when it comes to her debt, yeah. Honey, I don't have $100K in debt. We have $100K in debt. So there's that. We see that Lauren is going into surgery, and I'm curious as to what she's doing. Guess we'll find out. And I guess Sophie's gonna leave Rob again. Who knows? But anyways, that's basically it for HEA. That is what we can expect for this season. There's some other stuff too, but obviously I'm not going to touch on anything having to do with Ed. I'm not touching on anything having to do with Angela. And I believe we see some weirdness happen between Nicole and Mahmoud. But yeah, that is it for this episode of HEA. So if you like what you heard, please rate, review the podcast on either Apple Podcasts or Spotify. Also, don't forget that you can also share us with everyone in your life if you really love this. And I do want to read those reviews. I'm definitely getting 5-star ratings, but I want to read those reviews. So send me those reviews and I will read those 4 and 5-star reviews on the podcast. Also, we're on every one of your favorite podcast apps. Every one of them, including you can find us on YouTube at Reality Tea Times 2. If you want to connect with us, you can do so by going to either Facebook or Instagram at Reality Tea Times 2. You can also find us on Twitter, TikTok, Reddit at Reality Tea Times 2 Pod. We also have our email, which is at realityteatimes2 at hotmail.com. Definitely want to hear from you guys. And we also have our new website where you can listen to all of these episodes. You can review the podcast on there as well. You can connect with me in any way, all the stuff. It's all there, and you can find me there at www.realityteatimes2, all spelled out, .podpage.io. It's there. And don't forget, I also have my other podcast with my friend Mikkel, Next Take Podcast, where we talk about all kinds of different topics. But you can find us on any of your favorite podcast apps over there as well. Or you can also go to YouTube, and you go to Next Take Podcast, as well as our website, which is solo.to/Next Take Podcast. So yeah, there's that, and that's basically that. And again, don't forget, if all of this information is overwhelming, we do have all of the links, everything in our show notes. But that is it for now, guys. Thanks. Bye.